Hey folks, welcome back to the Lone Pine Tarot, or of course, welcome to the channel if you're new here. For those of you who haven't seen the past two videos and are wondering what the heck is going on with the setup here, where did the teal cloth go? Of course, this week is Witchy Week 2024, as I call it, so every single detail is over on my community tab from a post on October 1st if you want to read more into what's going on this week. But long story short, pretty much every single day this week we're going to have a Halloween-themed tarot reading. And of course, as you can tell by the title down below, today's reading for Wednesday is Magical You, What Makes You Bewitchingly Beautiful Inside and Out, of course, going along with the Halloween theme. So today we're going to be talking about what allures people to you, both, physically and also inside. Of course, we want to talk about the nature of your heart and your soul and your personality that really attracts people in. It's just a really, really good reading to kind of boost our confidence today. So without further ado, let us pick our piles. For pile number 1's over here on the left, we have Relax. For pile number 2's in the middle, we have Goddess. And for pile number 3's, we have on the right, Manifest. So as always, you are welcome to pause on this part of the video if you need more time to decide what pile you would like read for you. Otherwise, drop down to the description box below and or the top pinned comment beneath the video. Click on the timestamp for your reading there, and I will see you in our discussion about what makes you bewitchingly beautiful inside and out. See you there. Hello there, my lovely pile number 1's. Welcome to your pick a card reading today on the topic of what makes you bewitchingly beautiful inside and out. Of course, as you recall, your pile leader you chose was Relax. So we have, it looks like a witch sitting with, I believe that's a book on her lap, and a black cat with a bunch of candles, and a barn owl up at the top in front of the harvest moon. Very fitting for the season, of course, this whole deck kind of is, but right off the bat, pile number 1's, as far as how you come off to people just from the pile leader you chose, I get the sense you're a quiet person. You're someone who is very introspective, someone who is very, I want to say a wallflower, but it's not a wallflower in the way that you don't stand out necessarily, pile number 1's, but you're definitely someone who, you might not be striking right at first. You might not gather attention right away, but there's something intriguing about you that I think pulls people in. And I think maybe that's why you were drawn to the Relax card, because I almost get kind of like librarian vibes off of this, but it's not that you're not intriguing. It's just maybe it takes a second for people to really realize, hey, wait a minute. This person is someone I should pay attention to, someone who has a lot of, I want to say a lot of depth, pile number 1's. I feel like that's another part of your personality just from this card I'm getting, is there's a lot of depth to you. The word that keeps coming, or I should say the phrase that keeps coming forward when I see this is still waters run deep, and that seems to ring very, very true with you based on this card. So yeah, kind of the shy wallflower type, but not in a way that, I don't think people walk all over you, or at least if they have at one point, that was more so in the past. Like, you're a shy person that has learned to step into your power. Maybe as a child that was a bit more of a struggle, but now you feel very comfortable being alone. So, a wallflower that's bloomed is kind of the phrase I'm hearing for you. So let us reveal your other cards here in a second. Oh, and then we need to draw the tarot cards, as is our tradition, right away. So before I reveal your oracle cards, let's do that. Once again, we're using the Ghosts and Spirits Tarot, fitting for the season, right? So Spirit Team, for pile number 1's, we want to talk about what makes them beautiful inside and out. Could you give me around 5 cards that describes their personality and their appearance more to me? At least in what attracts people to them, what makes them beautiful. Okay, we have the 8 of Pentacles reversed. Interesting. Talk about that in a second. We'll take those two together. 4 and number 5. Gorgeous. Okay, let's unveil the oracle cards now. Okay, now's the time to unveil the oracle cards. I put the horse before the cart there. So first up, we have Heir of Dimensional, always, already. So you know what I was saying before about still waters running deep, pile number ones? I get that feeling off of this card as well. We have someone who has, I mean, of course, everybody has layers. You know, for those of you who have seen Shrek, whenever I say that, I always think of the argument he has about onions having layers and that ogres having layers, right? But that's kind of what I'm thinking of when I look at this card. It's like, you're someone who has a lot of depth, a lot of that still waters run deep. There's so many different layers to you. So it might even be that you come off as a bit mysterious, pile number ones, just because there's so much about you that people don't know, or it takes a while for them to kind of peel back the outer layers of you. And that in and of itself can be very intriguing, okay? It's not, once again, that striking in your face, like, hey, look at me kind of beauty, but it is something that I think if people were to look a bit closer and notice, hey, that wallflower over there, that's someone who doesn't really make themselves stand out a lot. There's a lot of understated, like I was saying, depth, and a lot of, I mean, the imagery I'm being shown is almost like walking through a woods, and then all of a sudden you come across this grove, and it's just this gorgeous little grove with this creek and all these beautiful flowers, and you wouldn't have seen it there had you not gone out and looked for it. So I feel like that way with you, pile number one. So yes, like, there might be outside beauty to you, of course. All of us have traits that are beautiful to ourselves on a physical level, but especially with you, pile number ones, there's a strong vastness between you, how you come off on the outside versus how much is really there on the inside, okay? So like I said, that can be, yes, beautiful on the outside, of course, but also, like, way beyond that, your true beauty shines when people get to know you underneath those layers. We also think, too, with Heir of Dimensional, air is the element of the mental in tarot and cartomancy in general. So definitely someone very smart. I think that's part of also your allure to other people, is they see you as someone who is intelligent. We see that a lot with air signs. You could even be an air sign, too. We'll see what else pops out with your other Wild Harmonics card. But yeah, someone who thinks deeply, someone who is very layered, and it intrigues people and draws them in, because they're like, there's something more to unveil here that I'm not seeing. And then your second Wild Harmonics is Water of Fire. So we have also two kind of opposites with the water and fire. They're technically opposing, right? But, and then subconscious reflection. Yeah, you're someone who is very, I also want to say, and I don't mean dreamy in the hot way. I mean, you could be hot, technically, pile number ones, you know what I mean? But, like, I mean dreamy in the way of someone who is very imaginative, very, you see things more than what they come off as. I think that's part of your intelligence that draws people in, pile number ones, but it's like, there's so much to you that, I don't know if it's because maybe you've lived a lot of lives here on Earth, and so I want to say you're an old soul, pile number ones. You're someone who just gets people right away. Like, you're mysterious to other people, but you understand other people very quickly. So while you might be a bit of a mystery to everyone else around you, at least the ones that don't know you very well yet, everyone else has not really ever been a mystery to you. I feel like you read people really well. And to those, for people who are your friends and know you very well, I think they trust your insight a lot when it comes to people's intentions and who they are deep down. It's like, you just know who people are. It's a bit of a sixth sense, maybe an intuition part of you, but yeah, and that water of fire too, like I said, opposites. Still waters run deep. Once again, I'll just repeat, it's like there's a fiery version of you inside, someone who's very passionate, someone who is very confident, someone who is very, there's a very, like, a loving quality to you deep inside. It's like that grove in the forest metaphor I was using, but on the outside there's that cool exterior. Very relaxed, but inside there's a lot of activity going on. And I think when people realize that about you, when they get to know you, pile number ones, they're intrigued because they're like, okay, not everything isn't what it seems with pile number ones. There's a lot more to discover here. And so getting to know you as a person, pile ones, almost feels like, to the people around you, a whole adventure or a whole mystery to solve or unravel. And that's what seems to be pretty alluring about you, pile number ones. Beautiful. Okay, and then your Vintage Wisdom. Sorry we haven't even revealed all your cards yet, but a lot of intuitive things are coming through. So Vintage Wisdom, you received Peace, which is interesting because you also got Relax as your main card that you chose with. So, I mean, in terms of appearance on the outside pile number ones from all the Oracle cards that have popped out, yeah, I definitely feel like you're someone who, you come off as just very... I think you wear a lot of, like, muted colors, or a lot of blue, or a lot of black, or a lot of white. Like, it's very soothing colors I see for you. Muted, maybe some pastels, or, like, really rich but calming dark colors. Could be jewel tones, technically. Also, I don't know if your favorite color is yellow, because I see a lot of yellow in here too, but I'm not sure if you necessarily wear it a lot. It might be a color that kind of clashes with your complexion, so you're like, I'm not going to wear it, even though it might be your favorite color, but I see a lot of yellow with you as well in this reading, and yellow I always think of someone who is happy, or someone who is bright or sunny. Bright also meaning in terms of that intelligence we were talking about before that lures people or makes them drawn to you. Yeah, and then Peace too. We have a baby with a lamb and a mother. And Relax, too, was your pile leader. Very soothing to look at, too. I think, I want to say that means easy on the eyes. I mean, you even have an eye here in Subconscious Reflection. Easy on the eyes. And so, yeah, it might literally mean physically attractive, right? Pile number ones. But, and I want to say your eyes are lighter. Or if they're not lighter, they're a shade that's very calming to look at. Like you have, I don't want to say sleepy eyes necessarily is the right adjective to use, but they're very calm eyes. They're not piercing. They're more, I feel like people can kind of get lost in them. So like I said, I'm drawn towards saying blue or light eyes, but even if you don't have that particular shade, pile number ones, it's a shade of either like green or brown or whatever other shade they might be. It's not striking eyes. They're just very easy to kind of settle into or like look into. Like they're not intimidating. And in that way, they're, your stare or your gaze is it's inviting to people. And I think that might even be intuitively, I'm being told, that's kind of what draws people into you first. Because yes, you come off as more of a muted, kind of subdued person. But there's something about your eyes that I think people, they look and they're like, okay, I can kind of subconsciously feel that there's someone here that has a lot of depth. There's someone here that has a lot of interesting things about them that I just don't know yet. And so I think that's kind of what draws people into you, pile number ones. Okay. And then we haven't even gotten to the tarot cards yet. So let's reveal those too before I get too far. We want to make sure we reveal those. So we have the Fool. Okay, very interesting. Because the Fool is the beginning of the tarot deck. Literally, it's number 0. We also have the Baby over here. I almost want to say, too, you come off as very youthful. It could be that maybe that's where that yellow color was coming in earlier. I associate yellow as like a youthful color, very cheerful. But that could literally mean, too, with your physical appearance, you come off looking a lot younger than you actually are, which, hey, I feel like a pile number ones, because even when the very few times I do buy alcohol, I always get carded because I look way younger than I am. So I 100% get where you're coming from with that pile number ones. But it can be a really good thing, because I feel like you just, especially, which is sad. I wish society didn't focus on this, but we do focus on youthfulness in our appearance, especially at least feminine people. And so it's technically a net positive pile number ones, where you look a lot younger than you actually are. And 2, I think there's a youthfulness in your spirit as well inside. Like, you might have always kind of felt like you were younger than you actually are, or you always kind of held on to some aspects of childhood. Like maybe you're really into, maybe even work with children technically, but yeah, especially with the Baby having been here and the Lamb, and then yes, the Fool always kind of indicates to me someone who has a young energy to them. So let's see, we have the Wheel of Fortune. Okay, so that means lucky. Once again, pile number ones, my longtime viewers know I don't sugarcoat. Okay, so when I say this, please believe me, I get the feeling that you are lucky in appearance, meaning because the Wheel of Fortune upright is fortune, literally what it says on the tin. So probably physically attractive. And once again, I promise I'm not sugarcoating. I'm not just trying to gas you up for likes or views or whatever. But you are getting really good cards in that area. So I feel like you are someone who is very Good looking, I guess, is probably the best term to use. Yeah, lucky. But also lucky in personality, because there's a lot of parts to your internal heart and who you are inside that is, it's kind of like hitting the jackpot is basically what the Wheel of Fortune means, right? And then we have, okay, strength reversed. Once again, that just harkens back to, it's like you don't, sometimes you look at people and they're attractive in a very, like, in-your-face, intimidating way. Strength reversed, to me, pile number 1, says that you're someone who's attractive in that, like I was saying, that subdued way. Like, it's not that you're not good looking, because, people can look at you and kind of understand that, but I think it's just that because it's almost kind of like I don't want to say you dim your light, but it's like you're so subdued that it's not something you shove in people's faces, okay? Quiet confidence of, I know I'm attractive, but I don't have to shove it in everyone's face. And that almost kind of makes you more attractive, pile number 1s, because it's an aspect of yourself that it's more attractive when people are confident in themselves. And that's what I'm getting from you, pile 1s, is that, yeah. That too, or it might even be that you don't even know that you're attractive. Like, I know, you've ever met someone before that was, like, drop dead, but they were so, kind of shy, and they weren't very talkative with other people, that they didn't really get a lot of interest from people that they wanted to date, so they thought, oh, I must be ugly, but really it was just that they were just kind of shy and didn't put themselves out there. I wonder if that maybe is one way that the strength card reversed can manifest itself, is that someone who might not be too bold about things. And so it's either, yeah, like I was saying, it's manifested in you don't put yourself out there a lot with your beauty, or you don't even know you're attractive, and maybe you kind of just assumed, oh, people don't like my quiet personality, but I think you really do draw in a lot more people than you expect, pile number 1s. And once again, like I said, I'm not sugarcoating, I'm saying literally what cards are coming out, okay? Yeah, and then we have, let's see, the 3 of Wands, okay? Taking action for the future. I see you as someone as ambitious as well. That's a lot of, the keyword for the 3 of Wands I always think of is ambition. Someone who is, especially using your intellectual skills, pile number 1s. I wonder, do you work with, like, writing or reading a lot? I know that's a lot of jobs, especially if you work in an office, but it's like you use your intellectual mind a lot, ambitiously. Also, I almost feel like a scatteredness. I don't know if maybe you've jumped careers a lot because you get bored with them, but that has led to, like, a lot of, like, manifestation of ambition in your life. And then we have, of course, the one we already saw, the 8 of Pentacles reversed. Once again, I know it sounds like I'm beating a dead horse here, but the 8 of Pentacles, just for reference, upright, is typically a card about being hard at work on something. 8 of Pentacles reversed is, like, easiness, okay, ease. Once again, I'm just going to say it's, like, easy to look at. You literally have a lot of, like, attractiveness cards here, pile number 1s. So youthful attractiveness especially, and especially, like, a very soothing attractiveness to look at. Like, I always think of and this might not be your specific coloring, pile number 1s, but you ever look at a certain person who is beautiful in the way of, I want to say angelic. Like, they're not an in-your-face, badass model type, striking. I know we already talked about that before. You come off to me as more of that youthful, angelic, kind of pretty, cute, rather than, like the drop dead in-your-face, like, model, striking pretty, okay? And, of course, too, like, if you're more masculine, I see that as, like, not like a model type, but more really, like, beautiful in the way, or handsome, I should say, for people that are, masculine watching this. And kind of a boy next door way, I want to say, okay? Like, very cute, very attractive. You have a lot of good cards in that area. It's just that you're more in an approachable, attractive way. That's probably the best way to put it, pile number 1s, at least of who you are externally. Now, who you are internally, that's very bewitching, as the title says in the video, for our topic today. And we already talked about your intellectualism, your layers, very smart. You can see through people really easily. I feel like you give really good advice to people. That's another really attractive part of you that's alluring to your friends and people who get to know you. I think people also admire your ambition there with that 3 of Wands. I feel like, especially being next to the Eight of Pentacles reversed, people might even be a little envious of, you have a lot of ambition, but it almost comes effortlessly to you, and I think that's because of your intelligence, pile number ones. You're one of those people that comes off to me as, like, you ever had that friend in school growing up where, like, they always got straight A's and they never had to study? They just kind of shrugged and they were just good at stuff. That is kind of what it seems to me with Eight of Pentacles reversed with the Three of Wands. Ambitious, but doesn't have to put a lot of work in, okay? Yep. It's like, too, with the Wheel of Fortune, you were just very lucky in this particular incarnation of having a lot of good traits. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot that's very alluring about you, pile number ones. And, too, that youthful spirit we talked about with the Fool, and then the Baby in Peace and the Lamb. It's, even though you come off as subdued in a way, there's still that excitement about you because of your youthfulness in both the way you look and the way that you act, okay? Like, you're not immature, it's just youthfulness in terms of your energy for things. I mean, even earlier I was thinking, when I had first mentioned that, I was like, are you into... And I want to preface this with saying that I don't think anything is necessarily just for kids or just for adults, okay? So just hear me out, but I feel like there's some hobbies of yours that are might technically be considered more for children. Like, I know, and this is really sad, I wish people didn't view animation this way, because animation is a gorgeous medium and it can be for any age, but like myself, I'm into a lot of animated things, okay? And I feel like that kind of energy with you is how some of that manifests with your youthfulness, okay? Or it could be maybe you're into... it's just something that requires a lot of the youthful energy, and the imagination is probably a really good word of being able to view the world in a more childlike way, in a way that's still ambitious, though, in a way that's still, it's refreshing and invigorating to other people around you, because it's like, they might forget as adults how not to be so jaded, whereas, like, you have that youthful optimism of, like, okay, yeah, like, you know, think about the silver lining, think about it this way. And so I think that's another really beautiful part of you, pile number ones, is you remind people how to look at life in a lot lighter way. You bring a lot of light to other people. In fact, I mean, I don't typically read auras over tarot readings, because of course this is like a collective reading too. It's kind of hard to really pick out one color, but definitely yellow stands out to me, like I was saying before. I'll just repeat that. And then let me think. You know, a lot of purple as well. I wonder if you are very spiritual and or intuitive. Maybe that's even why you're drawn to tarot readings. A lot of us we get into watching tarot readings because we're already into kind of spiritual stuff. But if you're not aware of that, I definitely see, even with your Air of Dimensional here, this card has layers of yellow and purple in it, okay? So you're someone who's very wise in a spiritual way. And I think that allures people in, because I don't think it's that you're like preachy. You're not the type of person to be like, oh, you need to live your life spiritually this way and you should believe this, but you have a lot of like old soul type wisdom that draws people in terms of advice on, well, how should I feel about something? Like, I feel like you give advice in a very like high vibrational perspective way to other people, and I think that's part of that intelligence that draws people in. But it's intelligence not just in a book smart way, it's intelligence in a like an intuitive wise way. Like, if I were to assign you an archetype in a fairy tale or a book, pile number ones, you almost feel like the good witch who lives in the cottage down the way, but she's not, like, vilified by the town. Or she's maybe a little bit misunderstood, but, like, the local children kind of understand her as, like, she's the good witch. Like, she's the person you go to get some sage advice, or she's the person you go to get, like, you know, a healing potion. Like, think of, like, once again, like, kind of thinking with our imagination in, like, a fairy tale or, like, a fantasy story. That's the archetype I would slot you into, and definitely, like, a good witch, once again, in the way of, like, you even kind of look more innocent in a way. Like, you look doe-like, or you look lamb-like, if I were to compare you to the way an animal is depicted, or how they look, right? So, yeah. So I think a lot of people find comfort in you, pile number ones. You're very comforting and soothing to be around. It's kind of like the equivalent of being around somebody who... Let's use a nature equivalent. It's kind of like being around a really, really quiet creek. Like, it's very soothing to be around you. It's very peaceful and calming. And you're there. and you talk. But because of your introversion, like, I think you're also comfortable sitting in silence with other people, and I think other people really appreciate that about you because, you know, sometimes some people are uncomfortable with silence. They're uncomfortable with gaps in talking, and so, but you're someone who is just very easy to be quiet around. It's like a comfortable quiet. So that might even manifest in relationships you've had, pile number ones, where, you know, some partners appreciate it when, you know, you're all kind of interacting like all the time, but you're someone who would be very good as a partner in terms of like letting people have their space, but lovingly, right? Things like that. So yeah, I mean, and apparently, like I was saying, you hit the jackpot in the looks department, pile number one. So, like, I know the reading isn't entirely about your physical beauty. We talked about the inside things that are really beautiful about you, but, I mean, yeah. Wheel of Fortune, come on, like, you're lucky in looks. Okay, let's just put it that way. And so, yeah, people find you beautiful inside and out, pile number ones. There's a lot of gorgeous things about you, but once again, you don't shove it in people's face, and or I think you might not even really know it. Maybe you kind of underappreciate yourself. So as corny as it sounds, look in the mirror today and be like, I'm beautiful. Because based on these cards, pile number ones, I mean, yeah, you hit luck with a Wheel of Fortune. So, and or thank your parents, one of the two. Thanks, Mom and Dad, for making me hot. No, anyways. So, yeah, that's what I will leave you with today. My wonderful pile number ones, my soothing ones, my gorgeous deep thinkers. Okay, so once again, I hope that reading resonated with you. I hope you liked it. If you did, please leave a like on the video. Please comment. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. That just helps me out, which helps me provide more readings for both you and others in the future. And as always, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope to see you in the next reading, pile number ones. Bye. Hello there, my lovely pile number twos. Welcome today to your pick a card reading on the topic of what makes you bewitchingly beautiful inside and out. As you recall, your card to use to pick your pile today was Goddess, which is very, very fitting for this reading, right? I picked them by random for the pile leaders, and I was like, well, how fitting for a beauty reading to get Goddess. Very gorgeous. And so, pile number twos, right off the bat with this card, I get the feeling that you're someone who is very feminine. There's a lot of strong feminine energy around you as a part of what makes you beautiful inside and out. I feel like, as a general reading, I don't get a sense of like specific colors that you might wear. Maybe you wear just a lot of different colors. Like, you know, sometimes some people only will wear black, or some people only will wear like jewel tones or pastels. I feel like you wear a lot of different colors, but no matter in which way you depict yourself in terms of tones or in terms of styles, there's definitely a very strong femininity to you. And of course, we'll see more details later with your other cards that might help us kind of like hone down to like what kind of femininity, right? And or two, like if there's anyone that's masculine energy watching this, you know, any dudes watching this, of course, too, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're, you know, if you're masculine presenting, that you're unmanly. It's just that, too, there's a sort of a grace to you, a sort of softness to you is how I would put it in terms of what makes you beautiful inside and out. Okay. Also fashionable, I get the sense. Maybe that's why you wear so many different styles or different colors. You're someone who's very fashionable, or you like to experiment, it seems. So I'm going to put this pile leader over here to the left, as is our custom, and then I'm going to, with our next tradition, draw the tarot cards right away. So Spirit Team for pile twos, could you give me around 5 cards that explain more about what makes them beautiful inside and out? Thank you. What makes pile twos bewitching? Oh boy, that's, holy crap. We don't want everything to come spilling out. The cauldron might fall over. Okay, let's try that again. Thank you, Spirit Team. Okay, that one for sure just kind of went my other finger, so we'll put that down there. Apparently there's a lot of beautiful things about you, pile number twos. Everything wanted to fall out. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. My graceful number twos. Let's unveil the cards. So first up from the Oracle, oops, there goes the cauldron. We have Air of Shadow. So unseating anxiety. Well, right off the bat with this type of reading, I would read this as someone that has a very piercing stare. You have very striking eyes, pile number 2s. I want to say they're dark eyes, and or even if they're a lighter shade, you have eyes that just, they really capture people's attention. Maybe they're even kind of in a cat-like shape, or almond shape probably is the best way to describe that. I want to say, too, if you do wear makeup, pile number 2s, maybe you tend to wear more eyeliner, or you kind of shape it more like a cat eye, is what I'm feeling from you. Kind of almost like a feline type look. Something feline in your look to you. Interesting. It might also kind of harken to like the gracefulness we were talking to, because cats are also very like graceful beings, right? Always land on their feet. Always know how to balance because of their tails. And so you're someone, maybe even the way that you walk is with grace, pile 2s. It kind of almost feels like very piercing stare. Very cat-like. Okay, and then your second wild harmonics is Celestial of Shadow, Misleading Mind. Very mysterious, too. You know, you're kind of like pile 1s. They had a little bit of a mysterious atmosphere to them, but you especially, pile 2s, it's like you're striking, but it's like you are striking in a mysterious way, which is very alluring to a lot of people. Yeah. And especially being Celestial of Shadow. You definitely walk your own path, I'll tell you that too, even because, you know, I look at this card, pile number 2s, and I see like the arrows going in different directions. Maybe that's why too, you don't necessarily always wear like the same colors or the same types of clothing. Like, I don't know if you've changed your style a lot over your lifetime, or maybe you just do day to day, but you're someone who knows how to walk many different paths when it comes to your appearance. So maybe you're always kind of experimenting and trying things. Maybe that's kind of what makes you very fashionable, is because you're someone who's willing to kind of go a little bit out there, a little bit more avant-garde, as we would call it, in an attractive way. Like, you know how to put things together, even if it's a little bit different than what most people would wear. You know, I always kind of say, another reading I had is, I refer to that particular pile as like Luna Lovegoods. They're kind of out there, but in a very like cute way, or like very beautiful way. So you almost kind of give me like a Luna Lovegood vibe. So yeah, Luna Lovegood. But striking. And let's unveil your vintage wisdom here. We have, intuition. You are mysterious as hell, pile number 2s. You know, I almost get the sense maybe you have darker features, even if that doesn't necessarily apply to you. Like all of you, because some of you might have like green or blue eyes, or hazel even, I should say. But either way, like, I think the majority of you have dark eyes. There's something about your eyes that really draws people in. Like, they're a very contrasting color to your skin tone, or there's something about their shape that's very distinct that draws people in. And, you know, like I said, you're similar to pile number 1s. And they had a lot of quietness and depth to them too, but you are almost in like, I want to say, what's the best word? I'm trying to think of it, pile 2s. I'm sorry, I'm kind of hesitating. The word that keeps coming, and this might sound corny, but the word that keeps coming to mind is like enchantress vibes. Like, pile number 1s are more kind of like light and angelic, and you're more like dark in like a more feminine way, like dark feminine. And I think, you know, when I was saying before that you kind of come off as like a very feminine energy pile because of the leader that you chose, it's like dark feminine, but in a positive dark feminine way. Okay. Especially too, because, I mean, look at both of the cards you have. You both have shadow elements in your wild harmonics. Yeah. Maybe you walk on the wild side a little bit too. We'll see what comes out with your tarot cards. Let's reveal those. Let's see. Page of Cups reversed. Yeah, maybe a little bit of a cool demeanor. We'll see. We have the Fool. Okay, very similar to pile number 1. In fact, 2s, if you were drawn to pile number 1s, you might want to look at that pile as well. They have very similar cards to yours and a very similar energy, although you almost, the way it feels is like you're almost like the dark twin of the light twin of pile number 1s. It's very interesting. Like, you almost feel like sisters to me, or siblings. But you're like the more moody, and I mean that in like a positive way, the more moody one, the more mysterious one. The Fool, too, also speaks to me of someone with like a youthful energy, or someone who looks young for their age, which once again, pile number 1s was like that as well. Sorry, I'm going to adjust in my chair if you hear any squeaky noises. Yeah, very youthful energy, very young looking, very, like, you're intimidating, but you still have a youthfulness to you, to your energy. And in terms of, and for some reason, this is the first reading I've ever had where auras really came out. I mean, I can read auras in real life, but I usually don't do that with like general tarot readings because it's kind of hard to read like a collective energy like that, for me at least, in terms of auras. But in this particular reading today, I'm getting a lot about aura colors, and for you, I get a lot of purple and I get a lot of blue. And purple to me in auras always means someone who is like spiritual, someone who is, maybe even you come off of as a bit regal, because we always associate purple with a regal color, at least in European cultures it was considered a regal color. It says the cauldron turns purple as I'm talking about that. Not intended, but hey, look at that synchronicity, and well, now it's blue, but yeah, regal. Even the cape of the Fool here is purple, and the dresses of the figures in the goddess card are all purple. So you give queen energy, or if you're masculine energy, it's more like kingly, regal, sophisticated. That's probably a really good word to use. Youthful but sophisticated. And then we have the Page of Swords, someone who's sharp. So, I was saying before, I feel like you have a cool demeanor with the Page of Cups reverse that came out. I think that's because most of the time you tend to present yourself as more your logical side because you have the Page of Swords upright. Like, you're very... and then there's a wolf, too. Like a lone wolf. There's something darkly beautiful about you, pile number 2s. You walk off the beaten path, but I think a lot of people admire you for it. Yeah, that's what I'm getting a feeling off that card from. And then we have the 6 of Pentacles. Okay. Once again, I just get dark colors, like dark skin tone, dark eye color, dark hair color, something like that. Very, very, very striking coloring. And then we have, last but not least, the Moon. Yeah, very dark feminine in a good way. Okay, you have a lot of moon energy, a lot of feminine energy, a lot of shadow energy, but you're someone who, I don't know if you've been through a lot in your, I mean, of course, everybody has been pile number 2s, but you especially, I get the sense that you've been through a lot in your life. Like, I don't know if you've walked a lot of dark paths in the past, and you have walked out wiser, you have walked out smarter. You come off as very street smart, too, especially that Page of Swords next to all of these kind of shadowy cards. Like, I don't know if you, everyone's going to be a bit different in a general reading, but it's like you've been through some tough stuff, and so I think a lot of people admire you for that because you're someone who has basically gone through hell and back, and you live to tell the tale, and people admire you for that, and they're kind of like, well, tell me about this story, or what advice do you have? And you have such good advice because you have gone through those dark things, pile number 2s. And people really admire you for that, I can tell. But, it's interesting, despite that darkness, despite that shadow you've walked through, that's kind of, I mean, it's like you've taken the shadows of your life and you put them on like a fashionable cloak. Like, yeah, I've been through some tough stuff, but look at me now. It's something that you use as like a badge of honor. It's something that other people, or even if you don't necessarily display yourself that way, other people see you as, they respect you because of it. They're like, oh man, that pile number 2, like, they just know, and they're street smart, and they know how to get through tough stuff. Like, you're very tough feminine energy as well. But yeah, despite all those shadows and despite that darkness that you've been through, you have the Fool here, which once again is that youthfulness. It's like someone who, the imagery I'm being shown is like someone who had to carry a candle through a lot of shadows, and somehow the light still emerged, shining bright on the other side. And that light is what attracts people to your spirit, pile number 2s, is you're the shadow, or you're the light that survived the shadow. And so you're like an example of how to pick yourself back up after falling down a lot, or after the world has kind of beaten you down, and you maintained your childlikeness or youthfulness despite that. So I almost get to, all of you are going to be a different age watching this, but I almost get the feeling that you give off the sensation of like a wizened older woman, like an older wise woman is what I feel. And some of you might not, of course, might not be like that. You might be younger in your 20s or 30s or 40s, but a lot of you, I mean, despite that, you have that old soul energy, that old, I've been through a lot of crap, and I'm the person in the tribe or in the village that, that you come to and ask for advice on things. And so I think, too, you're very, people admire you a lot for your reliability. They admire you a lot for the wisdom you can share. And so, you might find sometimes that a lot of people that you befriend kind of almost see you as therapeutic to be around because you do have such wisdom to share. I think a lot of the beauty of you, at least on the inside, pile number 2, is you help people walk through their shadows because you've already walked through the hell of your own. Okay, and so they come to you and turn to you as like, oh, pile 2 is like the local wise woman that will know just exactly the solution to our problem or my problem, things like that. And I think, too, because of the way that you come off, that moon, okay, so the moon in tarot is a lot about things are deceiving. Things are not what they seem, illusions. And so for you, pile 2s, I almost interpret that as you're somebody who, like, despite the wizened demeanor of yourself and the kind of maybe a little bit of a darker features type appearance of yourself, maybe even you wear a lot of, I mean, I know I was telling you before, like, I feel like you wear a lot of different colors, but maybe you tend towards a lot of different colors that are darker, like not necessarily a rainbow. But it's like, despite that, though, it isn't what it seems with the moon, because it's like what's the best way to put it? I'm sorry, I keep hesitating. I just want to word it just right. Like, despite all that shadow that you wear as a cloak, there's still that lightness to you deep down that people are really attracted to, in terms of, like, it could even mean romantic, of course, but I mean, just even as a friend. Yeah. I feel like you're beloved by a lot of people, pile number 2s, because of that. And so maybe sometimes you even come off, like, your friends might even, I don't want to say use you, but they might kind of see you as, oh, pile number 2 is my therapist, my friend therapist, okay, because you have such wise counsel for others. And you're very smart in an impartial, fair way. That's kind of what the 6 of Pentacles means, is about fairness or charity. So it could also mean that people admire you for your generosity. Doesn't necessarily mean that you're generous of money, which you might be, that's possible, but I see this too being next to the Page of Swords as a generosity of the mind, okay? And so I feel like people look at you, and because of your intimidating stare in your eyes, and because of the way that you present yourself as like more of that dark feminine energy, people might think at first glance that you're not someone who is like approachable, but they realize there's this generous heart deep down, this generous mind that is so willing to share your intelligence and share your wisdom and share the things that you've been through to help other people walk the way after you that you've already walked. So yeah, generosity there with that 6 of Pentacles. That fairness. And 2, I mean, the wolf having come out with the Page of Swords, like I was saying before, there might be a little bit of a lone wolf vibe to you too. I think you do make friends. Maybe even if you don't make friends easily, pile number 2 is maybe you're more introverted, maybe a bit of a hermit. Totally get that. I'm a hermit myself. At the same time, though, like, I feel, even if people have been very transitory in your life, like they've kind of come and gone, you've always had a really big impact on them. Maybe you've even inspired people to kind of walk away from bad situations as well. So, I mean, just to summarize, I think people look up to you a lot. Okay. And that's also part of what makes you beautiful, pile 2s. Let's see, anything else? I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. I think you're very witty, too, because of an extension of your intelligence. I think your humor might even come out as like a dark sense of humor, but it's very witty and it's very smart. And I think that's another admirable trait about you that people really see as beautiful because, you know, you might take dark comedy or dark humor and it might take something that's kind of morbid, but it makes it more comfortable and easy to get through or adapt to because, once again, it's that imagery of you bringing the light in the shadows, okay? So, yeah, and then looking at the Page of Cups reversed. Sorry, one moment. Yeah, that's that coolness I was talking about. I think people, I mean, this might sound kind of cliche, but I feel like people think you're very cool. I get that from that Page of Cups reversed, okay? Because a Page of Cups upright would be someone who's very, like, they're almost open about their emotions in a youthful way, or they're open about their emotions in a more exploratory way. Reversed, I feel like maybe you reserve some of your emotions more. Hence why you come off as a lot more, like, logical and intellectual. So people see you as cool. They see you as unfazable. Like, nothing can really bother you. Like, you're that solid stone in the river that no matter how many currents or, like, other debris comes past, you just let it bounce off of you. Yeah, it might technically kind of hurt you deep down, pile twos, but I think because you've been through so much, you come off as very solid and down to earth and unshakable. And that's another really, really beautiful part of you. Also, I just looked at my timer on my phone, and it's 11:11 right now. So, hey, what do you know? At least at the time I'm recording this. So, angel numbers for you, pile number twos. Let's see, anything else? Yeah, 2 with the moon. I just think, once again, a very stark features. You know, it could be that you're very pale with dark coloring otherwise, or it could be that you have a shade of eye that's very different from your skin tone, like maybe darker skin tone but lighter eyes, things like that. Like, just a lot of, like, dichotomy of, like, opposites. Or there's something about the way that your eyes contrast with the rest of your face that makes them so striking, plus the shape of them. Like, and I wonder if in your family, this just came through intuitively, if you look a lot different than your siblings. At least in terms of coloring, like, you kind of stand out as not a black sheep in personality, but like the black sheep of the family, like you look kind of different than the rest of everyone else. And that also kind of made you stand out as like the lone wolf as well. And I think, too, you have a lot of knowing, especially with intuition having come out over here from the Vintage Wisdom Oracle. Not just knowing because of the things that you've been through. Like, yes, of course, your wisdom from your experiences is very important and cherished by people, I can sense. But 2, pile number 2 is, I think there's a spiritual aspect to you. I think that's where that purple in your aura was coming out from before I was reading. And I don't think you're, like, in people's face about your spirituality or about the things that you believe, but I think there's a lot of inner knowing, like, especially I'm thinking, like, third eye chakra. I don't know if you're psychic, technically, pile number 2s. I mean, you could be. I definitely get that feeling off of these cards. And intuition having come out for you as well, of course. You are... I think you know things before you're supposed to, and I think sometimes in the past when you have said those things to people, like, hey, I think this is gonna happen, and it just comes true every single time, and people kind of look at you like, ugh. Like, not creepy, but kind of shocked, because they're like, well, wait a minute, how did pile number 2 know that? Like, wait a minute. And 2, because you have such an abundance of moon imagery in your cards, not only you have, like, the triple moon with goddess, you also have the moon card literally. You also have the moon on the head of the intuition card. It kind of gives me high priestess vibes. I wonder if you wear a lot of, like, moon imagery on or maybe in your interior decorating, like you wear, like, a moon necklace or something, or you wear, like, you have a moon tattoo or something celestial along those lines. It could technically be, like, a star or, like, planets, but, there's a lot of celestial imagery, especially with a moon here. So I think there could also be a tattoo of yours that's celestial that maybe kind of stands out to people. I want to say upper arm or your arm, but it could be anywhere else on your body that kind of stands out to people. And I feel like that catches a lot of people's attention too. That celestial, probably like a moon imagery tattoo. Or it could be, like I said, a necklace, or maybe there's earrings you wear a lot, something like that. Or maybe clothing you wear with a lot of celestial vibes to it. Which also just sounds gorgeous. I wish I had more, like, celestial clothing myself. It sounds so pretty, but... yeah, so Enchantress vibes, very old wise woman vibes, okay? I know we were talking before, too, about you being fashionable. I think, too, you're very, and I want to say it's like fashionable in a very elegant way. Regal. We were talking about that before. Regal. Regality. Queenly or kingly. Okay. Very sophisticated. Very, like, I think, like I was saying, you experiment with clothes, but you always knock it out of the park. I feel like people praise you for that a lot, too, pile number 2s. Like, I'm the type of person where, like, if I experiment with clothing, like, it just kind of falls flat all the time because I'm just not very fashionable myself. But, like, people like you, pile number 2s, it's like you always know how to put something together. Yeah. Very beautiful energy, pile 2s, today. Thank you for letting me read your cards. Mystical. Very enchanting is the one word I would use. If I had to describe you in one word, pile 2s, it would be... yeah, either elegant or enchanting. One of those 2 words. Okay. So I think that is everything. So, as always, I hope that resonated with you, pile number 2s. I hope you liked it. If so, please like, comment, and or subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. That just helps me out as the tarot reader to provide more readings for both you and others in the future. Helps the channel sustain itself, of course. And as always, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day, my elegant pile number 2s. And I hope to see you in the next reading. Toodaloo. Hello there, my lovely pile number 3s. Welcome to your pick a card reading today that is all about what makes you bewitchingly beautiful inside and out. As you recall, the card you used to pick your pile today was Manifest. And I'm just going to say this is probably my favorite pile leader today. It's just gorgeous. We have a witch walking through an autumn scene. And so right off the bat, pile number 3s, I feel a lot of warmth from you. I get, this has happened with every single pile today, and it's kind of strange because, I mean, I can read auras in real life, but I don't typically read auras in tarot readings, but for some reason today, like, a lot of aura colors have been coming out. And for you especially, I get a lot of those warm colors, probably reflected by all the autumn colors in this particular card. So orange, yellow, gold. And that speaks to me of someone who is very inviting, almost maybe sweet, but someone who, it could be that you wear a lot of warm colors as well. Maybe you wear a lot of orange or red or yellow. Could be that you were even born in the autumn, okay, or you're drawn to the autumn itself. Things like that. And there's just a lot of invitingness to you that I think draws people in. I get the feeling, and we'll see what your other cards say, but just intuitively right off the bat, I get the feeling a lot of people think of you as very sweet, like I was saying, very kind, okay? Very warm-hearted is probably a good word to use. Gorgeous. I'm going to set that over here to the left, and as is our custom, I'm going to draw our tarot cards right away. Apologies if you do hear the siren in the background. Sometimes I can't edit that out fully, so let us shuffle the cards while that goes on. Spirit team of pile number 3s, could you give me around 5 tarot cards explaining more about what makes them beautiful inside and out? Thank you. There we go, Death reversed. So we have Death reversed, spoiler alert, the first one that popped out. Talk about that more in a second. And 4 other cards, let's see, 2. And one of those back there, number 5. Okay, the fun part, unveiling the cards. What makes you beautiful inside and out, pile 3s. So first we have Water of Air, Collective Insight. Yep, first word that popped out to me was very community oriented. I think that's a part of the warmth to you, pile number 3s. A lot of the kindness I was speaking of before. I think you're a very, very good team player. People get along with you very well. It could be that you value harmony a lot in relationships, and that's part of what's really alluring about you is people know that you're very, I want to say you're almost easygoing, or you're very easy to get along with, and that's part of what draws people to you, makes you beautiful, is because, I mean, it might even reflect on you from perhaps a spiritual level, pile number 3s, where you're not just community oriented in terms of like your friends or your job or your family, but maybe even on a whole spiritual worldwide level, seeing yourself in others and vice versa. And I think that's what makes you so easily connect to other people or in vice versa, like they connect to you because the word that comes out is chameleon, and that might have a little bit of a negative connotation, but I mean it in a very positive way, pile threes, where I think you're very, very good about reflecting things about people back to them. And so it's easy for them to see themselves in you. And so it's almost like, the word also too is like mirror. Like you're very good about mirroring other people, and it helps them realize things about themselves. And it also helps, it's like you foster a lot of spiritual development in the people around you, which, they might not understand on a conscious level, pile number threes. Especially if they're not spiritually tuned, they might just be more kind of earth aligned, and they're focusing on, the car they bought, or, their job, or what's going on with their family, things like that. Of course, that's important to all of us. So, but even if they don't recognize it on a conscious level, pile threes, there's a great beauty to you in the way that you uplift people spiritually and energetically that they don't perhaps even recognize, okay? And they like it even if they can't really put a word to it. So, the way they express it to you might be something like, what's something they might say? Easygoing and lighthearted might be words people use for you. But what that really means, I think, pile threes, is what we were just talking about, like how you bring a lot of a higher vibrational energy to other people. You uplift their lives, and that's another beautiful thing about you. You're a mirror or a reminder of, and this, it sounds extreme, and I swear to God, I'm not sugarcoating, but you're a reminder of higher planes of heaven here on earth to them, okay? And I think, like I said, even if they don't express it verbally, or they don't really understand what it is verbally, or they can't really say, they can't put a finger on it, that is a very, very bewitching quality to you, pile threes, okay? Okay. Then the next card is, Dimensional of Celestial. I was just saying, I feel like you're very spiritual, even in a way that people don't recognize. Victorious Silence. Okay. So that might mean, pile threes, that there's another alluring part of you that's silent. Like you're very quiet. So even though you get along very well with other people, and I think you're very people-oriented, I think you are someone who finds yourself wanting to be in service to others a lot. Perhaps some of you might even be like nurses, or like health-oriented type jobs, careers that you're in. You're people-oriented, but you're very introverted and silent, okay, with Victorious Silence, but also spiritual too, because, like this person is meditating here, and they have, let's say, like their root chakra, their heart chakra, and then I guess that would be both. That would encompass up here both throughout third eye and crown, right? So someone who's very developed spiritually, someone who's very developed in the heart and people, with the root chakra coming out too, it's like you're someone who, once again, it's like you're very easily able to connect the spiritual to the physical, and people are drawn to that about you, even if they can't express it in a way that they understand, because you're almost like a funnel for above to down below here. Okay, and so it's more reflective of actually your path in life, but that is a beautiful thing about you that your spirit team wants to highlight, pile number threes, because that is a very, very rare quality. Not a lot of people are able to express spiritual lessons like that from their soul to the people around them in tangible ways that people that maybe aren't as far along as you in the spiritual development path can understand. So yes, you're very tranquil to be around, and very warm-hearted and kind. I want to say you almost give me, and some of you might think, oh, you think I'm old, but you give me grandmotherly energy. Pile number twos was kind of like this, so they were more like the old wise woman type archetype. To me, you're like the warm-hearted, kind-hearted grandmother to other people around you, okay? That really nurturing feminine energy of, I want to bring people together. I want to make them feel better. I wonder if even like you might go out of your way to like, this might be extreme, but make cookies for other people or things like that. Like that's of course what I think of when I think of like a warm-hearted grandmother, right? When I think of like, say, my own grandmother, who unfortunately passed away very recently as the time of this video, but that's the energy that you give off to me is, yeah, you give a lot. And then let's look at your Vintage Wisdom card here. We have, yes, gratitude. Once again, that just speaks of someone that is very kind-hearted. Very kind and soft-hearted. We even have, it looks like a rose or a peony here. I think that's a rose, technically. But it's a pink rose, and pink roses, as opposed to red rose, meaning like romance and love, pink roses, I think, I believe they're technically affection, right? Which doesn't necessarily connotate like romance, but it could be. Maybe you're a very affectionate lover, but I think, too, you're a very affectionate person to family and friends as well, and I think that draws people in because they see you as... This is going to sound very strange, but the word that's coming to my mind intuitively from your spirit team is you're a soft place to land. Okay. Like pillowy. Like you're very... It could mean that reflects in your physical appearance. Maybe you have kind of a pillowy physical appearance, like very soft looking, maybe kind of curvy more. Maybe someone who is more soft in short shape and form. Maybe even your appearance in terms of like your coloring is more soft. You kind of remind me of pile number 1s that way. They had kind of, I describe them more as angelic, and I don't see angelic necessarily with you, pile 3s. You're more warm, soft looking. Earthly, warm, soft. Even though you are so connected to the other side, it feels like. Okay. Beautiful. Yeah. Let's reveal your tarot cards, too, to get some more insight. I've been rambling about your oracle cards for so long. We have the Hermit. Okay, so the Hermit is someone that is probably pretty introverted. Someone that has a lot of wisdom, though, from their introversion. So, yeah, it's like... I was just thinking, like, something about a bed of leaves, and literally, like, she's standing on a bed of leaves here. A soft place to land, okay? Like, literally, I was just talking about that. You're very comforting to other people, pile 3s. Giant heart. Okay. We have the 3 of Wands. Okay, that can denote someone, pile Wands have this too, ambitious. Despite your kind-heartedness, and typically, not always, typically people that are very warm-hearted and kind-hearted like you, they more focus on people-oriented goals in life, like, hey, I want to make my romantic partner feel good today, or hey, I'm going to take care of this person that I love. You're ambitious, I think, both in that way, but you're also ambitious in terms of, it could be your spiritual growth and intellectual growth being next to the Hermit. Let's just check what card is next to it. The Sun reversed. Okay. Interesting. The Sun reversed. Yeah, ambitious in an unshowy way. Yeah. Ambitious when it comes to people's sadness, because that's what the Sun reversed means. I don't know if, I know I mentioned a nurse before, but maybe some of you too work with like mental health related things for people, or that would be a very good career option for you if you're maybe considering moving careers, or maybe you're younger and starting a career. Yes. You help people get out of their funk, okay, with that Sun reversed. Let's see what else pops out before I get too far in the weeds with that. We have the 3 of Swords, okay, which is the card of pain. Yeah, you are a nurse, pile number 3s, in every single way. You are a nurse of people's wounds, both physical and emotional and mental, okay. Literally, you have the card of pain and you have the card of depression with the Sun reversed right here next to the card of ambition, okay. If you're not a nurse or in a healing type career, it would be very good for you, okay? And or if you're already in one, well, you're pretty damn good at it, pile number 3s, okay? That's another beautiful thing about you, is because you are so helpful to other people. Very generous of spirit. And then we have Death reversed, which we already saw earlier. Now, Death reversed is typically it's the card of something needing change, or it can be a card that means something is not over yet, it's not ready to change yet. And so there's something about you where you are very, very good at leading people to the right conclusions in a way that makes them think it was their own idea. That's intuitively what I'm being told. You're very, very good at giving people advice. It's another beautiful thing about you, pile 3s. But it's in such a way where you make them think it was their own idea, so they're not offended or think that, that you're telling them what to do. And that is a very difficult skill to learn and master, pile number 3s. And once again, I just get the sense that you're an old soul, especially with how spiritual you are, it seems like. But very warm, very nurturing, very affectionate, quiet. You're not an in-your-face, outgoing, people-oriented person, I don't think. But you're very, even when you're in the quietest moments of your life all alone in, say, your room or out in nature, you're still, I think, thinking about people and what you can do for others and thinking about relationships. Being very wise when it comes to relationships is another thing popping through here, okay? You help bring people out of their sadness. You're very warm to be around. Another metaphor that's coming through intuitively, pile number 3s, is that, a lot of people can walk through their lives very sad and walk through their lives with a lot of pain in their back, especially like with the 3 of Swords, or just carrying a lot on their shoulders. And you come off to me as a symbol of like someone having been walking in the cold winter in the snow for a long time, and they find this really, really cozy cabin with a lot of like heat and this warm, cozy hearth or fireplace just inviting them in to take a rest and heal and warm up. And that's what you are, is like that metaphorical fireplace or comfortable, cozy living room for someone to kind of sit in as a person, okay? And that in and of itself, once again, apologies for the sirens. Apparently there's another one coming by if you hear that. Speaking of healing people, right? Apparently there's a lot of people that need healing in the neighborhood today. So hopefully they make it through safe. But yes, that cozy fireplace vibe. You're very, you might be, I can't tell if you're a fire or a water sign, pile number 3s, or you might have a lot of both. Like, you have that fiery energy of that passion, but at the same time, it's tempered with a lot of emotionality and focus on relationships, okay? Like, very, very passionate and smart about how we connect with other people. Like we were saying before, even like in a overall way with, like the worldwide with your, what was that card called technically? Collective Insight, yes. Smart about relationships. Smart about other people. Yeah, and then in terms of your appearance, like I was saying, warm colors, softness to you and softness to your shape. Like I said, you might be curvy, especially if you're feminine, right? Feminine energy. Bit pillowy, like I was saying too. And I want to say you come off as short. Okay, which also, hello fellow short person. But I think that's a part of your sweetness, pile number 3s, is that, no matter, like, maybe you wish you were taller, right? But there's also a sweetness to even, like, your stature, okay? Beyond your body type, but also the way that, how tall you are. Yeah. You give me short king vibes, or short queen, I guess I should say. Yeah. It's very interesting, too, because both of the other piles today had a little bit of a nature of innocence and youthfulness to them, but on the outside, they looked different than that. You are almost the opposite, pile number 3s, where you might have a little bit of a youthfulness look to you on the outside, but inside you have a lot of that wise, older energy, okay? Kindly grandmother, like I was saying. I'm going to just take one pause to take a drink here, pile number 3s. I apologize. I always have to take the most breaks with pile 3s because you're the last recording of the day after my voice has been used up, so. Also, I don't know if you bake a lot. Do you bake or cook a lot, pile number 3s? I kind of get that feeling off of you. Very nurturing in general. Also, if you're into witchcraft, I don't know if you do like kitchen witchcraft. Kitchen witchery, technically. Hearth witchery, things like that. Or that would be a good area for you to go into if you're interested in that type of spiritual practice. It's funny though too, because there's a part of you that's also really beautiful in the way that as connected as you are to other people, there's a lot of solitude surrounding you. It's almost like, you'll put yourself in these groups, pile threes, or you're in your friend groups or your family groups, and you're so focused on taking care of everybody else. But a lot of the way that you're able to take care of other people is because you have so much solitude to think about it as an introverted person. And that's where a lot of your wisdom comes from, because you do have a lot of that lone wolf, but people-oriented lone wolf vibe. Yes, I also think you might have healing abilities. I know this isn't technically a psychic abilities type reading, but part of that might be that is a beautiful thing, pile number threes, to have that ability to heal other people. So if you're not aware of that, I would look into that. Maybe you have healing hands is kind of what I'm feeling here. A lot of green to your aura as well, which I think, of course, is like healing energy, okay? Spring, earthly energy. Beautiful. Let's see if there's anything else here before I sign off with you. Also very nature-oriented. I feel like you're outdoorsy. Maybe very into hiking, into gardening, things about the outdoors. And I think people admire you a lot for, I don't know if you're just very, very good at gardening. And so people are like, wow, pile number three is so good at gardening. I wish I had a green thumb like that. Yeah. So you're very talented in that way. So it's like you're ambitious and you're talented, not in the stereotypical way of we think of in society as like, oh, they have a 6-figure job and they own a Tesla and they own like a giant ass house mansion or whatever. Like that's earthly garbage, right? So I'll just put it that way. You're very ambitious and talented in the ways that really matter on a soul level, pile threes. And I think that's part of what also draws people to you, and what's beautiful about you is because, a lot of people are talented and ambitious and successful when it comes to material things. Not a lot of people are ambitious and successful in the way that you are with the spiritual and the heart, okay? So that's another beautiful thing about you that's actually rare. You might even have the rarest quality of all the piles today because you're so successful in that way. 2 with death reversed. I don't know if you possibly... I keep hearing ghost hunting for some reason. Do you ghost hunt, pile number threes? Of course, you can't answer that as you're watching this, but feel free to weigh down in the comments below if you do. I know this is technically like a Ghosts and Spirits deck, so I'm not saying it just because it's a Ghosts and Spirits deck, but Death Reversed almost kind of reminds me of like... part of your spiritual abilities that you might be very good at is helping spirits pass on, especially with Death Reversed, because that's about someone refusing to change, right? Refusing to walk through the door. You might have luck in that area, or maybe you already do that, and that's another really beautiful thing about you, pile number threes, is you're good at ushering people in to different phases, okay? Meaning, like, helping them pass on, okay? So, just very soft energy. Warm and welcoming. Very sweet. It's like you were just born like a kindly grandmother energy. You didn't have to wait till the age of like 70 to be a kindly grandmother. No, you kind of were already born that way, pile threes. And a lot of people need that energy, okay? A lot of people don't have that nurturing energy in their lives of warmth and welcome. And I think that's why, you probably come off as beautiful to a lot of people, is because they know, yeah, you're like that warm fireplace, that warm hearth they can just walk to. And they know they can always put their feet up and melt off the ice of the cruelty of the world around you. Because you're a source of that light, that heavenly light, right? That is very rare in our world at times, but you're like a spring fountain of it. And so they find that beautiful about you too. Very rare quality, pile number threes. Okay, so cherish yourself for that, because that's beautiful. Very gorgeous energy. I mean, even just reading you, in terms of the energy of each pile today, you come off as like the most cozy, okay? Very cozy. I don't know, maybe you wear a lot of sweaters and cozy clothing. Maybe that's part of that softness I was talking about. You come off as, even just the way you depict yourself or show yourself to the world, as I'm a comforting, soft place. Lots of cozy clothing, lots of cozy, I don't know if you tend to have a lot of pillows in your interior decorating or like a lot of like plush things. because of that softness. But yeah, just gorgeous energy, pile threes. Okay, so that is what I will leave you with today. My cozy, kind-hearted, grandmotherly energy pile number threes. As always, if you liked the reading, if it resonated with you, please like, comment, and or subscribe to the channel if you have not done so yet. That just helps me out as the tarot reader, helps sustain the channel so that I can provide more readings for both you and others in the future. And as always, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day. And I hope to see you in the next reading, pile number threes, okay? Bye.